Good afternoon, everyone. With Carolina Weather Authority, this is meteorologist Joshua Nagelberg with lots to talk about in the tropics as things are changing on a dime. 3 days ago, we saw that La Nina was officially declared as we got up to 17 named storms. Since then, we've added 3 more to the list, and there's a potential for more this week as we're likely to get into the Greek letters. So, we're going to have a lot of videos coming up talking about what's going on with the tropics. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you don't want to be left out from those. And we're going to continue to talk about what's going on, especially with threats to the Gulf Coast and Bermuda here over the next several days. We also have articles talking about local weather here in the Carolinas, whether it be what's coming out of the tropics in the Gulf or what's to look forward to here with fall and then eventually winter. So please visit those. Now here is a list of the cyclone name list for this season. And we have a list of 21 names that we're likely to get done with here by the end of this week. And then we're likely to get into the Greek letters, it looks like, probably by the weekend at this rate. So we continue to have a record-setting pace in the Atlantic hurricane season. A lot of these storms have not been an issue, but several have. I've marked off all the storms that have gotten a name so far. We're now to Vicky, which is the 20th storm, and Wilfred is likely to form later on this week off the African coastline. Storms in yellow have reached hurricane intensity, so we've had 6 hurricanes that did not reach major status. One that has, that was of course Laura a couple weeks ago. So now we've had 20 named storms, 7 of them reaching hurricane status and 1 major. Now, I do think some more hurricanes are expected in the next bunch here, and the ones that we have out there now will be major. So we are certainly on pace to have a record-setting season, believe it or not, worse than 2005 was. And that was the season that had hurricanes Katrina and Rita and Emily and Dennis and Wilma. And we look like we are certainly heading in that direction once again. Here's the current list of storms out there. We have 5 named storms for the first time in 49 years at the same time. Renee is going to be on the way out, so we'll be able to say goodbye to him. But Sally is now a hurricane targeting the north central Gulf Coast. We're going to talk a lot about that. Paulette already made landfall on the Bermuda earlier this morning, is now starting to move away and continuing to strengthen. And Teddy is expected to be a hurricane in the next couple of days, and that could be a major hurricane. And something in Bermuda that I think we need to watch out for. After that, we have Vicky out in the Atlantic, should not be a threat to land. And then another wave likely to be a tropical storm by the end of the week. That could be Wilfred. We won't rule out this system in the western Gulf as it may become a depression or weak tropical storm, but I don't think anything worse than that. That might get us into the Greek letters, and if not, there's certainly more on the map to look at. All right, so the biggest problems we're having right now are in the Gulf Coast. We now have Sally has strengthened quickly from 60 miles per hour early this morning all the way up to 90. Should become a Category 2 hurricane by this evening, we believe. And the Hurricane Center hasn't explicitly stated it in their forecast yet. They have it reaching 105, which is a strong Category 2 before landfall. But we believe this could be a major hurricane, the second one to hit the Gulf Coast this month. Or not this month, but at least in the month, as Laura hit at the end of August. So we've got a big story here and big problems coming for the central Gulf Coast states, and I'm going to talk more about that. Big-time storm surge, heavy rainfall, and let's look at that rainfall map. The potential for 20 inches of rain over the coastal waters of eastern Louisiana, southern Mississippi, and southwestern Alabama. Someone in here could see a lot more than that. This is going to be a major flood problem, and we spread that inland. Somewhat good news compared to maybe a day or two ago. The track has shifted a bit to the right, and that spares New Orleans this purple area of devastating rainfall. It doesn't mean New Orleans is going to have pretty weather. It does mean, though, that the trends are a little bit more favorable for New Orleans and points off to the west. However, that makes things a lot worse for Mississippi and Mobile, Alabama, maybe even Pensacola, Florida. So a big-time flood event likely to set up here. And oh, by the way, as the storm is strengthening and growing, we do have the threat for some very significant storm surge up to 11 feet across areas of the southeast coast of Louisiana and over into southwest Mississippi, as this storm is going to be moving in that direction tonight and tomorrow morning. And it's going to be growing in size, so we are likely to see storm surge problems all the way over through the Big Bend of Florida, to Chassahowitzka, which is on the northern western peninsula north of Tampa Bay. So we're going to see coastal flooding all the way over to the peninsula of Florida and all the way back to Port Fourchon, Louisiana, and even as far west potentially as the Atchafalaya Bay. So this storm, not as big as Laura, but it is growing, and certainly the concern is growing as we continue to look at that. The other thing I was going to show you guys is the flash flood potential here. 50% or higher across this region. I would draw an extreme, probably an 80 or 90% across this area here, which means we could have a Pascagoula problem here. Pascagoula Punisher, if you want to call it that. All right, so let's take a look real quick at the satellite image from this morning, and you can see Sally kind of blew up like a bomb here. The outflow just grew from this morning. You can see that the outflow has improved on the western side of the storm. The storm is growing. We're likely to see an eye forming by tonight that could start to clear out by morning. And a growing storm, of course, in an area of low wind shear and very warm bathwaters is a very big problem for the northern Gulf Coast. This is why we think we could have a Category 3 storm closing in on landfall near Mississippi or even Alabama in about maybe 24 to 36 hours. And the reason why that window is so large is that the storm is expected to slow down and may spend a 12 to 24 hour window over here just punishing the coastlines of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, even western Florida. So a very bad situation setting up. Unlike Laura, this storm is going to be much slower and producing a lot more rain with it and a longer period of time where the storm surge could punish the coastline. So this one could be a $1 billion storm or more if it continues to strengthen at the rate it is right now. I'm not wishing that on anybody, of course, but we definitely have that in our back pocket as a potential problem here. We also have Paulette, which made landfall on Bermuda here around 2 in the morning. That's now moving away. I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a bit. Here's the model guidance. You can see now the majority of the model guidance is no longer calling for a Louisiana landfall, now showing it coming close to the mouth of the Mississippi, but coming up through Breton and Chandeleur Sounds, and then a landfall somewhere between Pass Christian, Mississippi, and looks like west of Pensacola, maybe Gulf Shores. So somewhere between Pass Christian and Gulf Shores is where we're looking at that final landfall, coming probably tomorrow night. But it's going to be a slow and painful process of that happening. And of course, Louisiana is going to get hit hard in the meantime as this storm comes up close to where Katrina did back in 2005. Won't be as strong as Katrina, but it is intensifying. That's, of course, a problem that we could have. Latest models, again, they haven't even caught up to the fact that this became a hurricane just after noon, but likely showing at least a Category 1 storm, but more than likely a 2 and possibly a 3 up in here in the 24 to 36 hour window. I suspect we're going to see a lot of these models improving the intensity here in the next 18Z run. Here's a look at the HWRF model, and this is the one that is shown. Sorry, that's the wrong storm, so let me give you guys Sally here real quick. Back to Sally, showing the storm is already initializing too weak. It's showing a tropical storm, and it's already a strong Category 1 storm, so this is going to have to go upwards. And a couple models earlier did show it getting to Category 2 or 3. This one's still showing strengthening, but look how slowly it's moving. It's just dragging in this 3-hour window tomorrow, with landfall tomorrow afternoon or night over the Mississippi coastline. That is the HWRF model. Here's potential rainfall on the GFS, and you can see just how extreme this can end up being. We're looking at this swath of extremely heavy rain coming up through Mississippi and Alabama, and of course far western Florida, and then carrying on through Birmingham, maybe north of Atlanta by Wednesday night, and getting into the southern mountains as well of North Carolina, southwestern North Carolina, so maybe around Brevard and Murphy. We could have significant rainfall, and that's going to spread quickly east and come by maybe nearer to the south of Raleigh. So in the Carolinas, we could have this remnant low coming by from Sally. We could have a couple inches of rain in a quick amount of time Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, and moving out to shore by Friday morning, it looks like. But if you can zoom in here, and I'm going to try to blow this up real fast for you guys and show you what we're looking at. This is a 25-inch total in Pascagoula. That's over 2 feet of rain falling in just a couple of days. 16 inches of rain just to the west of Mobile. 20 inches near Mobile. 17.5 inches showing in Gulfport. Let me see if I can zoom this in for y'all just to make things a little bit easier so you can now see what we're talking about. I think I had an Alabama, Mississippi. Yeah, here we go. I'm going to show you what the GFS shows as of the 12Z run. And here's what we're looking at here. And let me make this a little bit larger for you all real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, it's not going to happen. All right, we'll make it as easy as we can. But this is 17 inches in Gulfport, 16 in Biloxi, 25 in Pascagoula, 16. I think that's Chickasha maybe, or Choctaw, Alabama. 12 in Mobile, and this area of heavy rain extends northward to near Hattiesburg, up towards Demopolis, and up close to looks like Birmingham could get a half a foot of rain. Atlanta maybe an inch or two, but northwest of Atlanta, maybe Marietta could see 5 or 6 if this model's right. The good news for New Orleans is that with this right shift, we are seeing much lower rainfall totals. It's not to say that's going to be the case, but definitely the trend has been our friend in New Orleans. We'll still have some storm surge flooding over Lake Pontchartrain and Lake Bourne once again. Maybe Lake Maurepas. This could be an issue for Slidell, Eden Isle, the Wrigley's, and the southwest coast of Mississippi. So any shift west of this takes the purple a lot farther west. But a huge, huge, huge gradient between New Orleans east and Gulfport, Mississippi. Anywhere from 1 inch to 17 inches in just 50 miles. So any shift left or right is going to take that very heavy amount of rain and shove it to the west or east. So let me catch my breath, and now we're going to look at Paulette real quick. Not a threat to the U.S., thank goodness. This is the last radar of Bermuda before it made landfall. This was at 2 in the morning. The satellite image showed the eye of the storm was over the eastern part of the island here at about 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning Bermuda time, and since then has moved away and is now strengthening. You can see it's starting to gather some symmetry to it, and this will probably be a Category 3, could even be a Category 4 storm as it's moving away from land. So no threat at this point. Maybe a threat to the Azores next weekend, but again, no threat to the U.S., except for some heavy swells over the eastern seaboard. The models show us some funky stuff could be occurring over the weekend. A few miles bring it back. It should be a lot weaker at that point, so we're not going to worry about it at this point. Here's the European ensemble guidance, and it starts to spread out at 72 hours, but you can see pressures in the 940s at their lowest, maybe even 934. This will likely be what could end up being our second, maybe even third major hurricane of the season, depending on if Sally gets there before Paulette or vice versa. All right, and then we'll talk real quick about Tropical Storm Teddy, likely to become a hurricane, as you can see on this map, and potentially a major hurricane, 120-mile-per-hour winds halfway between Africa and the Lesser Antilles. At this point, we're not thinking it's going to be a threat to the eastern seaboard. It looked like maybe it could be a couple days ago, but it is going to be a powerful open water central Atlantic hurricane. One thing I do want to show you guys, though, is the models have started to bend back to the left, and here's Bermuda. And I hate to say the unthinkable at this point, but there's a chance this could be another major hurricane threatening Bermuda. Maybe 2 hurricanes threatening Bermuda in less than 10 days. Pretty insane. You can see the ensemble forecast members. Many have a major hurricane here, a Category 4 storm. And Bermuda's right here, and this could be an empty parking lot syndrome where we've got an empty parking deck, 1 car's parked there, and another one may park next to it. So if you're in Bermuda, you definitely don't want to let down your guard. I know we're still cleaning up from Paulette, but Teddy could be in our backyard here in about 8 or 9 days. Very serious potential situation. We're hoping, of course, so it stays out to sea and off to the right. We'll have to take a look at that. And intensity forecast showing 3 or maybe a Category 4 storm. I wouldn't even rule out a 5 at this point, but let's just say 3 at the least, maybe a 4. And then finally, we've got Vicky out here, not a threat to land, is going to fall apart by the end of the week. And I'll show you the ensembles which prove that here. This is the Zero-Z ensembles which show Vicky's going to fall apart in here. But we're watching Teddy very closely. Paulette's going to be no threat to land. The remains of Sally going to move through the Georgia, Carolinas, potentially here Thursday and Thursday night. We'll keep an eye on the Western Gulf here as there could be a weak system. Maybe that ends up being Alpha, because it looks like this one's going to be Wilfred up in here. Things are just going gangbusters here. We've never seen this kind of intensity of storms in a 1-week period as we're seeing here during the peak of September. GFS model, again, showing all of our storms out here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here comes 5. And 6, by the way, that's Rene. And then over time, we're going to watch the remains moving out here from Sally, and a front which is going to hug the southeast coast could need to be watched for a potential spin up here. Looks like the week of the 21st through the 25th. We'll take a look and see if this remainder of a front could develop something weaker closer to shore. Wouldn't rule it out at this point. By then, we're going to be in the Greek letters. Pretty crazy. The Canadian, by the way, showing what could be Tropical Storm Alpha out here. but that's probably going to be sitting near Mexico and not threatening the United States because of this large area of high pressure which blocks it. But we'll keep an eye on the timing of this trough to see what's going to happen out of that. And the icon model here showing an extremely deep Hurricane Teddy eyeing Bermuda, which is right here. This is a strong Category 4 coming right up to Bermuda. Looks like in about a week, maybe 8-9 days from now. Pretty insane stuff. So here's our list. Get ready to send Paulette up into the red. I think Sally's going to go into the red. Teddy's going to go into the red. Not sure about Vicky or Wilfred at this point, but maybe we've got Alpha and Beta before the end of the month. Just some insane stuff going on, guys. All right, so we'll keep you guys posted on what's going to be the latest, but subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. We'll continue to respond to your comments as much as we can, and hope you guys have a safe and wonderful start to the week. God bless.